Bob is basically a good guy. You know, he wants to make the world a better place. He gets a little bit too caught up in his own plans, gets a little too stressed out when things go wrong, a little too much of a control freak. So he's you know, if you mixed Mr. Rogers with Henry Ford or Howard Hughes, you'd have kind of an eccentric, driven type A Mr. Rogers, and you could have some trouble. And that's where Bob is.
In show number 1, and I think maybe even into show number 2, Larry had a different voice. And when I started doing Larry, I actually borrowed his voice from a character that I had done in puppetry. The character's name was Soupy. And his voice was really kind of low and with a lisp and that kind of thing. And so I did that for show number 1. And you know, for show number 2, I think I continued it a little bit, but I didn't like, I mean, I remember watching the show and I just didn't like it. And so Larry's voice then started to change very gradually. And so then it started to go up, but he still kind of had a lisp to it. So there's like a group of shows, probably from show number 3 up until, I don't know, show number 14 or so, where Larry still, you know, had a lisp, and then he went through a little speech therapy and got rid of his lisp too.
And I'm Larry the Cucumber.
Larry, at the heart of it, is just a kind of a carefree little cucumber, and he's goofy, but he's not too goofy. I think if Larry were pure goofy, he'd be annoying to watch. But I think he's got a lot of sincerity in him, a lot of you know, he's in the know about a lot of stuff, and so he doesn't react to stuff completely naively. There's always a little bit of, you know, of knowingness there, which I think makes him more real. He's an extension of my own personality, sort of. You know, if I took a caricature of myself, that would probably be Larry.
Oh, it's all so clear now. Hurry up and tell the story. My head's starting to sweat.
Okay, here goes.
Junior, I think he's one of the healthier examples of how to live on planet Earth, because he's extremely vulnerable, and he's soft-hearted, and he doesn't have any pretense. He hasn't grown up enough and encountered this cruel, harsh world enough to develop the pretense. And so he's soft-hearted and tender and vulnerable, and so all of he's comfortable with whatever emotions are there. But his faith is limited, and he's okay with it. He's okay that he doesn't grasp everything.
God is bigger than any of them, and even though he doesn't squirt slime out of his ears, he made the whole universe, and he's taking good care of me, too.
Well, you're right.
To have characters and songs be able to help us find that unpretentious, faith-filled, dependent longing, just basically, I just need you to love me. I think that's just really important, and probably why people are drawn to his character.
We were friends with a group of people at a church that we were attending, Park Community Church in Lincoln Park in Chicago.
Just a very creative church. It was a community church in downtown Chicago with a real artistic focus to it.
Phil and Lisa were both involved in the arts ministries at Park Community Church, and they were able to interact with a lot of talented people, and they were able to tap into those people.
And I think when you look at that first show and look at the credits, I think except for Robert and Chris, who he brought on as animators, I think everybody else is from the church.
Dan Anderson wrote sketches with me, and he was one of my better friends, and he became the voice of Dad Asparagus. And it was just perfect for him, because in many of our sketches, I think he played the father figure.
Dan had the perfect, you know, sort of Leave It to Beaver dad voice, you know, and so he could just kind of come and do his regular voice and just sell himself as, you know, I'm Junior's dad.
Sounds like you've been doing some good thinking. But it's time to shut the thinker down now and get some sleep.